it's Marley from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for August 27th. So today we have the moon in Capricorn all day, grounding us out, really making us present, really focusing in on our to-do list. What do we have control over? What do we have the option to do right now? What can we change? What can we transform? What can we clean up? Now, the moon in Capricorn isn't one for emotions, and we want to keep our mind and our physical body engaged in tasks and chores that make us feel like we're making progress, like we're being productive, in order to avoid some of the thoughts and feelings that could creep up that really put us in a little bit of a tizzy, because we would rather avoid those feelings than actually confront them. Now, the moon in Capricorn, very logical, very practical, very focused on bossing up, if you will, really seeing where it is that the roles and responsibilities in our lives require us to put a little bit more elbow grease, time, energy, and attention into them. We are kind of taking a lay of the land, so to speak, as Capricorn energy is like the general foreman of the zodiac. We need to kind of check in, see what the team's been doing, where the progress is or where the progress is not. And from that, formulate a plan on action to actually tackle said issues. Again, many of us looking to build towards the future. We are not in that time or space. We have to clean up the past. The moon in Capricorn energy going to have us very focused on A, cleaning things up, B, bossing up, C, being productive, and D, really seeing where it is that we have the ability to make some changes and transformations by sticking to what has been tried, tested, and true, and applying that particular energy, if you will, to really resolving some of the issues that are coming to our attention at this time. Now, today, going to be a little bit of a wonky day, just because Mars, the god of war, ruling over our physical energy, our drive, our passion, our desires, even our anger, moving into his, let's call it, weakest position that he could take on in Libran energy. So of course there is a astro forecast out about this event. If you want to take a listen, by all means, go ahead, do so that you can understand what Mars in Libra is all about. So there is also this lingering shift that is about to take place, which is Uranus. Uranus is going to go retrograde here on Monday, the 28th. So there is that added layer of intensity of just feeling like we're at a standstill, feeling this electricity, anxiety, anticipation just kind of pulse throughout our bodies and not know what to do with that energy. So let me just be very clear. Find things to do to engage the physical body. Clean up your house, put things in order, exercise, do something productive so that you can see the instant rewards, if you will, of all of your energy and efforts. That's going to be what makes us feel the best about ourselves, make us feel productive in our lives, make us feel like we have a little bit more control over our circumstances and situations than what it is that we have been previously feeling. So there are 12 different aspects here today, 8 of them going to involve the moon. Before we get into any of the moon aspects, we have an aspect between the sun in Virgo energy sitting across from directly opposing Saturn, the Lord of Karma, who is retrograde in Pisces energy. So this is something that we have actually been building towards, if you will. We've been within orb of this direct aspect for the last 2 days. And it hasn't been a good feeling, a good vibe, because of course Saturn brings a reality check that many of us just want to avoid at all costs. But what we're getting here, we have the sun shining a bright light on what it is that we have to kind of do, what we have to kind of grow into, what we have to pursue. And in this Virgo energy, it's about creating order where there's been chaos. It's about simplifying our to-do list. It's about really understanding that what we focus on in our mental plane is what we bring into form, what it is that we actually manifest. The sun in Virgo wants us to fix, heal, and resolve, wants us to rearrange, reorganize our physical realms, especially where our day-to-day life is concerned, so that we can be working smarter instead of harder, and that we can examine the issues, the topics, the themes that aren't jiving so well in our realms, and we can attempt to fix, heal, and resolve them. Well, the opposition sitting across the table, if you will, in a little bit of a confrontation with the Lord of Karma, Saturn himself, who is retrograde in this Pisces energy, showing us where it is that we have to deconstruct the old form of beliefs, the old dreams, the old visions, the old pain, the old trauma, in order to actually build a structure that is encouraging and supportive of us reaching this new goal, vision, and dream that we're currently not the vibratory match to even manifest in our lives. We are definitely feeling the seriousness, the soberness that Saturn brings into our realm. So we are kind of feeling like we're kind of being underestimated, or we're underestimating ourselves and our abilities to boss up, to make these changes. We are kind of realizing where we feel like we're not getting enough recognition for what it is that we've done, what it is that we've accomplished, what it is that we've healed. We're not feeling like we are the favorite of the cosmos. Maybe you're feeling like you have been punished, like you've been unlucky in a lot of instances. Maybe you feel like you have been busting your ass and not getting any kind of credit for it. Whatever the situation, it's not a good feeling. It's a disappointment. It's a betrayal feeling. It's a negative narrative type of feeling. And it may actually trigger some anger and frustration within you. But let me just tell you that we don't want to waste any energy on those emotions. We need to be conserving our energy. We need to be laying low. We need to be contemplating where these primary root causes are actually stemming from. And just understand that if you are feeling these things, like we're not being recognized for our energy, for our efforts, we're not being rewarded, you just understand that it is because you have too much focus on receiving confirmation and validation for your energy and efforts from the outside world, from the external realm. And we're in a point in time right now where building the relationship with yourself is super, super important so that you can stop feeling like that due to the outside world not appreciating you in the way that you want to be appreciated. It's time for you to start appreciating yourself. It's time for you to start recognizing yourself, rewarding yourself. It's time for you to stop underestimating yourself, right? So when you kind of unpack who in the external realm is triggering and activating these feelings within you, then you can take that energy, move inward with it, really start dissecting where the primary root cause actually stems from. Why do you care so much about what other people think? Why are you looking outside of yourself for validation? Why do you feel like you are pouring into whatever it is that you're pouring into just looking for the rewards of confirmation from other people? So this is a time for us to really kind of analyze where some of these beliefs come from, where some of these urges come from, where some of these wants, needs, and desires to be validated by the outside world come from. And essentially, because the sun in Virgo is involved, we can attempt to heal that very, very quickly and very easily, but it is going to require some shadow work. So the moon in Capricorn is going to interact with Venus. Venus, of course, the goddess of love, beauty, worth, pleasure, money, who is retrograde in the heart and soul of the zodiac in this Leo energy. She is almost of this dark pit, of this dark hole. If you haven't listened to this week's Ascension forecast as of yet, I'm going to recommend you do that as well, because I go on a little bit of a rant, Venus being in the pit and what she's doing and the attitude that she has and what that means for us moving into September. But basically, she is in her dark feminine energy. She is in the warrior type of spirit. She's climbing her ass out of this dark pit. She's almost to the surface level of the earth, in which, of course, she fell into the pit from. And she is almost to the top of this dark pit that she's been in, which means that she is preparing to have a new lease on life. She's preparing to boss up, to have to take action, to do the right thing. That is the hard thing, to rearrange and reorganize her physical realm, cutting people out, rearranging the energy dynamic of personal relationships, doing all kinds of things that now she needs to be listening to her heart space about. We've had a major pivot point in her retrograde. Major change of heart on a lot of topics and themes. So the moon interacting with Venus in this way, it's a logical, practical approach on how it is that we are going to boss up to new roles and responsibilities, especially setting the tone, drawing the line in the sand, creating and implementing the boundaries needed in order for us to be happier, joyful, enjoy ourselves a little bit more, create a safe, secure place for us to not only heal in, but to operate from. So 9:20 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Mars, the god of war, ruling over our physical energy, our drive, our passion, our desires, even our anger, is going to shift into Libran energy. This, again, not his most favorable spot, not our most, I'm going to say, productive energy. Take a listen to the astro forecast so that you have the full picture on what it is that we're going to experience, but just understand that there's going to be a lot more agitation, a lot more frustration, a lot more anger that needs to kind of be put into check. We have to balance things out a bit. And we're not going to see a whole lot of major moves, major changes, major transformations in our physical realm because Mars is not taking action in the physical realm. He's taking action in conversation. He's taking action in the intellectual battlefield. He's looking to compromise, negotiate, and really see where it is that he can push himself along in his own path and his own pursuit by charming, by manipulating, by kind of reverse psychology, if you will, the people that need to be reverse psychologied in order for us to balance the scales, not only within ourselves, but within our relationship dynamics as well. So we're going to need some time to acclimatize to that particular energy. Again, not very favorable for us, but part of the process. So the moon in Capricorn goes ahead, makes a positive interaction with Neptune, who is retrograde in its place of power in this Pisces energy. He rules over our spirituality, our intuition, our dreams, our visions, our imagination, our fantasy, just as much as he rules over our pain, our trauma, our soul contracts, our karmic chapters. So he is retrograde in this Pisces energy, making it very hard for us to think about the future because we have to clean up the past. He's making it very hard for us to obtain the kind of clarity that we're hoping for right now because confusion is the name of the game. We are having a hard time aligning with our higher selves because, of course, we need to learn that there is certain information that we've already been downloaded with that we've yet to put into use, into practice. And therefore, we are kind of being blocked from being able to do anything as far as futuristic planning goes until we confront the residual pain and trauma, fears, doubts, insecurities of the past. Now, this is a good interaction, and I actually like this because Pisces energy and Capricorn energy works very well together. What we are inspired to pursue, the insights that we have, the dreams, the visions that we are conjuring up in the Pisces energy, we're able to actually bring into form, into some kind of logical, practical strategy and plan on how it is that we're going to bring some of these elements to life. That Capricorn energy is the manifesting energy, so we are kind of a little bit more down to earth, realistic, if you will, on what it is that we're actually able to achieve as far as some of the dreams and inspirations go. The moon is then going to trine, beautiful interaction, with Jupiter, the planet of growth, expansion, beliefs, abundance, and blessings, who's in this Taurus energy, grounding us out, making us very focused on our physical realm, on the opportunities that we have to rearrange, to reorganize our physical realm, to build a reality that looks good and that feels good according to our higher selves. So this is a beautiful interaction because Capricorn energy, Taurus energy, they're both earth energies. They get along very well together. This is going to make us a little bit more confident than normal, a little bit more optimistic, which is a very nice change for the moon in Capricorn, seeing as we're a little bit serious and somber in this energy. We're starting to see where it is that we're starting to make plans on where it is that we kind of want to grow out of some of the roles and responsibilities that we currently have, grow out of the current soul and karmic chapters that we're currently feeling stuck in, and where it is that we have an opportunity to create a new structure and foundation for us to build upon. The moon, though, then goes ahead and semi-squares, which is a little bit of a tension point, a little bit of a conflict with Saturn, who rules over the Capricorn energy. So again, anytime we're interacting with the ruler of the energy that the moon is in, there's an extra oomph that comes with that particular interaction. Semi-square, again, highlighting not a huge conflict or a tension like a square would, but a slight tension and conflict in order for us to kind of sort things out and understand where it is that we're blocked, where it is that we could conjure up a new path, a new direction, new detour to get around some of the bumps that we're currently experiencing. This particular interaction, though, definitely going to bring us down a couple of pegs, definitely kind of adopt the negative narrative, the negative Nancy attitude, if you will. There's no wonder because we're kind of flying high with that earlier aspect with Jupiter. Jupiter tends to overinflate us, really kind of put on all the possibilities that we can conjure up. And of course, Capricorn energy and Saturn likes to bring it down to a realistic type of perspective where we're actually looking at what is attainable and achievable instead of just thinking that anything is possible. Saturn being retrograde in this Pisces energy is definitely bringing on the funk, bringing on the confusion, bringing on a layer of seriousness that we would prefer not to feel, that we have to feel right now. And a lot of this is because we've outgrown certain positions, certain roles and responsibilities in our lives that we're still desperately holding on to. And so wherever it is that you're feeling like this existential dread, like you can't do it anymore, like you don't want to do it anymore, pay attention to that. That structure and foundation is asking to be kind of deconstructed and collapsed in order for something new to grow in its place. The sun in Virgo energy is going to make a positive interaction with Pluto, the great transformer himself, who is retrograde in this Capricorn energy. So I love this. You'll often hear me talk about how Pluto and Virgo energy work very well together, mostly because Pluto does a deep dive in our psyche, really analyzing our egoic programming, the conditioning that we have in our brains, the choices that we've made out of our egoic reactions. And so the Virgo energy, of course, is ruled over by Mercury, ruler of the mental plane, the lower level intellect. And so why I enjoy Pluto and Virgo energy interactions is because we do kind of unearth an aha moment in our psyche, in our brain, in our mental plane that does kind of illuminate where it is that we've been creating some bad habits as far as what we are thinking upon, what we are reacting upon. And of course, when we identify the problem, the Virgo energy is very eager to swoop in, fix, solve, or heal it. So the sun shining a bright light in this Virgo energy, interacting in a positive way with Pluto retrograde in this Capricorn energy, means that there is an intense and profound aha moment that will unearth a certain part of ourselves that we didn't realize was on autopilot, pushing us into making decisions that are operating from our egoic wounded self and not our higher self. And so what this is going to do for us is actually show us where the change and transformation needs to start first and foremost in our mental plane before we're ever going to see that domino fall and really recreate and transform our emotions and therefore recreate the opportunities for us to choose differently and overwrite that particular programming. The moon then interacts with the sun shortly after in such a way that is going to create a little bit of I want to say tension and conflict, but it's more stepping back and observing what our choices and what our options actually are. Of course, the moon very attached to the past, the sun very attached to the future. The moon being in Capricorn energy, we are taking a good look at what it is that we've always done, especially where traditions are concerned. And the sun is illuminating where sometimes you need to break free from doing things the way that you've always been doing them, even though they're familiar and comfortable. We could be doing things in a much easier, much better, much smarter kind of way. So of course, the sun in Virgo energy is here to kind of reorganize some of the dysfunction, some of the craziness and chaos, and really put into perspective where it is that we could rearrange, reorganize, restructure our lives, our routines, our tasks, our chores, our roles, our responsibilities in order for us to lessen the existential dread that many of us are feeling by continuing to do the same old, and really kind of testing our ability and our willpower and our discipline to make that change and bring something new to life. The moon will then square off, get in the boxing ring, fight it out with Chiron, the wounded healer, who is retrograde in this Aries energy, helping us with our identity. I don't want to say crisis, but it's not. It's a rebranding. Crisis sounds like we're in trouble. We're not in trouble. We're just getting to know ourselves again from a more authentic place. Granted, we are fighting it out in a square. That's what a square is all about, is creating tension and conflict. What are we creating tension and conflict over? Well, the moon in Capricorn is very old, very traditional, wants to keep things the same. Well, the new version of ourselves that is basically just emerged with Venus and the sun having their conjunction on the 13th, giving us this rebirth, renewal, resurrection type of energy. We haven't been able to anchor in the new version of self, mostly because we're still in the same environment that created the old self or that the old self created, depending on which way you want to look at it. And so it's really hard to bring forth new versions of self, new practices that we want to bring into our physical realm when we're still being triggered and activated to stay the same. So this particular energy is going to illuminate for us what is trying to keep us the same. Maybe it's your environment, maybe it's your relationship, maybe it's your job, maybe it is hobbies, passions, maybe it is, obligations, roles, responsibilities, whatever the case may be. There's going to be illumination on what in your life is blocking you from making the changes that you now feel inside you have to make. Because again, the higher self has triggered and activated this new fragment of self that we're having a hard time anchoring in. So then the sun goes ahead and interacts with Chiron in a way that is going to illuminate choice points. Now, the sun being in Virgo energy is all about pretty much where it is that we have the opportunity to shine a bright light on the problem areas of our lives and where it is that we have the ability to fix, solve, or heal them. And of course, Chiron, the wounded healer, in a negative aspect, is illuminating the wounds in order for us to heal them. So what we're getting here is an observational point to kind of see the choices that are at play. And of course, one choice is to continue doing what you've been doing, operating from the wounded self, creating a realm and reality that is based off falsehood and delusions, or stepping outside of that wounded self, aligning with higher self, that of course is going to push you into new roles and responsibilities and require you to boss up to make the changes and transformations that you're now operating from the higher self from, the healed self from, or the attempt to heal thyself from, instead of staying with the same old, same old. Now, the moon in Capricorn is going to trine beautiful interaction with Mercury, ruler of the mental plane, ruler of information, communication, how it is that we express ourselves, who is retrograde in his place of power in this Virgo energy. So this is our heart, moon, and head, Mercury, on the same page, making a maybe very small step to unify in our emotions and in our thoughts. Now, granted, Mercury is retrograde, so a lot of this is reflecting back, taking a good look at where it is that we have been doing the same old, and we're kind of expecting a change to come out of that. I'm sorry, but that is the definition of insanity. You cannot continue to do what it is that you've already done and expect anything different than what it is that you've already got. Now, the beautiful thing is that the moon shortly thereafter goes ahead and trines beautiful interaction with Uranus. Uranus is the higher form of the intellect. Mercury is the lower level form of the intellect. So what we're getting here is, first of all, the interaction with Mercury. Yep, we're kind of on the same page. We're examining where it is that we can do things differently. We're examining where it is that we've been doing things over and over the exact same way, expecting change, and of course not getting change because you can't get change doing the same old, same old. And then all of a sudden, Uranus chimes in and he's like, zap. There's an aha moment for you. Zap. There's an epiphany for you. Zap. There's a perspective that you haven't contemplated otherwise. This is a change in our highest form of intellect. This is an idea, an epiphany, an inspiration. This is a perspective changing understanding that, of course, has to happen in our mental plane, in the higher mind, right? So we get downloaded with intelligence. And then boom, we bring it down into the mental plane that Mercury rules over. We're trying to make sense of it from a logical, practical application. And then emotionally speaking, Capricorn energy, right? It's a cardinal sign. They're the initiators. Granted, they have great perseverance. They will stick with the same old until information and details present themselves that prove that making a change and initiating a change is the better path, is the better way. So we do have an opportunity here to kind of break out of the same old, be inspired, or at least challenge in a way to try something different, to break out of the same old routine, and to just try a new method, a new way of doing the things that we've been doing the same old traditional ways.